What is up, everybody? Purple and Gold podcast for Wednesday, April 15th, tax day. Uh, get your taxes done if you haven't gotten them done already. LSU baseball defeats Northwestern State last night by a score of 4-2. A Jake Brown three-run homer was the difference in the game. LSU had to use 9 pitchers, including Devin Sheeran, to get out of an eighth inning jam and eventually get the last 5 outs to win the game 4-2 against a good Northwestern State team who is in first place in the Southland. LSU did jump up to number 67 in the RPI, and a 3-game home series with the number 12 RPI team, Texas A&M, awaits LSU this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And look, I'm not gonna spend a ton of time on the game last night, right? LSU's got a lot of the same problems every game. They had 2 players thrown out at home plate: Braden Simpson, who did hit his first LSU home run, by the way, and Jake Brown. They largely pitched okay until Zion Theophilus in the eighth inning came in and ran into some trouble. And then Santiago Garcia ran into more trouble, and Devin Sheeran had to get them out of it. LSU 6-9 in the SEC, as we know, and there's just a couple of different ways you can look at this. And one of the ways I think you can look at this, if you want to try to remain positive, is that this weekend at home is an opportunity, because it is, quite frankly. Now, look, if Texas A&M comes in here and takes 2 out of 3, you're behind the 8 ball on the math, right? LSU's got to start winning some series. And they've got to pretty much win every one of their home series, because you would expect them to be massive underdogs in their 2 remaining road series at Mississippi State and at Georgia. Can LSU turn it on? Sure. Has LSU pitched well on an SEC weekend or two? Yes. Have they hit well at times on the SEC weekends? Yes. Have they played okay defense at times on an SEC weekend? Yes. Have they done it all on the same weekend? Not really. And you look at this team and you say, okay, they're 6-9 in the SEC. They got walked off at Vanderbilt, the opening SEC game of the season, and they, had the defensive letdown in Game 3 against Oklahoma, and that's true. They could very well be 8-7 instead of 6-9, but they also came back twice from big deficits: 7-0 against Kentucky, 5-0 against Tennessee. They were down to their last out in that Sunday game against Tennessee when Jake Brown dribbled that ball up the middle and tied the game. Derek Curiel hits a, eighth inning grand slam in the Friday game against Tennessee. So I kind of think they are what their record says they are. You are what your record says you are, at this point in the season. So I want to spend a few minutes today talking about LSU's football team. LSU's 10 practices in, 2/3 of the way home on spring practice, and they had a 2-hour scrimmage in Tiger Stadium on Saturday. They had another 2-hour practice yesterday with media availability for the full practice. So we're starting to get some reports on some of the aspects of the team and some different things. And Lane's met with the media a couple of times recently here as well. I'll start with the quarterbacks. Sam Levitt's not doing any team drills. Husan Longstreet and Landon Clark combined to throw 5 interceptions in the scrimmage on on Saturday, and Lane Kiffin called the offensive effort disappointing. But they rebounded on Tuesday and had a much better day. But the main takeaway from all of this is, and you'll hear me say this a couple of times, if LSU had to play a game right now, Longstreet and Clark are not ready, but LSU doesn't have to play a game right now, obviously. The Lane even said that Charlie Weiss has had to remind him a few times that they knew this was the plan all along. These guys were inexperienced. Landon Clark started for 1 year. Longstreet hasn't started at all. But the plan all along was for Sam Levitt to be the quarterback. So we will know more in summer and fall workouts when Sam Levitt returns. Running back has been interesting. Harlem Berry's made some plays. Dylan Jones, the Wisconsin transfer, seems to be heavily involved. And in this last couple of days of practice, Stacy Gage, another transfer, seems to be gaining some steam. Now, look, there have been plenty of spring standouts who have never materialized into the fall, but Dylan Jones from Wisconsin was their starting running back last year prior to his injury. On the offensive line, you've basically had four guys, Jordan Seaton at left tackle, Braylon Moore at center, Alu Ba at right guard, and Weston Davis at right tackle, who have remained with the first unit the entirety of the spring. Devin Harper, the Ole Miss transfer, was running with the ones at left guard, but now it's Bo Bordelon. And Bo Bordelon is a fifth-year senior. He's never been more than a reserve tackle and an extra offensive lineman. But Lane Kiffin said in his media availability that as of right now, Bo Bordelon has won the job in the sense that they keep a depth chart. And when you outperform someone on that day or that week or whatever it might be, then the depth chart changes. And I like that. I like the competitive aspect of that. Trey Green's been incredible at tight end, everything. Lane Kiffin described him as ultra elite. He'll be a weapon. And then LSU's fleet of receivers, I think, has been fine. Jace Brown will play. Winnie Watkins will play. Eugene Wilson, Trey Wilson the third, he will play. They'll play a bunch of guys. They're going to figure that out. They've got plenty of guys, and like I said, Trey Green is involved there. Obviously, the defense has been ahead of the offense at times, but the defense has taken on some injury bullets here. Gabe Relaford out for the year on the edge, and now Aiden Anding tearing his Achilles in the scrimmage. So cornerback depth is something to watch. They will have P.J. Woodland and D.J. Pickett as the starters. And you have Jakeem Jackson, who's a veteran, a player who transferred from Florida last year. And you have Michael Turner, and you have a true freshman, Haven Finney, who graduated early. They'll bring in Des Ellis once he's another freshman. He'll show up here in the fall. My guess is they will cross-train someone from the safety position. I don't know who that might be, or possibly even from the wide receiver position. Cornerback depth is one of the issues on this team. At safety, the Boise State transfer, Ty Benefield, has been incredible. He and Tamarcus Cooley will be your safeties. Deshaun Spears will be your star. Whit Weeks is slowly working back into drills. LSU's defensive linemen have looked very good, including the two true freshmen that are there right now in Deuce Geralds and Richard Anderson. Richard Anderson, of course, the number one defensive tackle. Deuce Gerald's the number 3 or 4 defensive tackle, depending upon your recruiting service. When Lamar Brown gets here in the fall, it'll be interesting to see what he does. Do they use him on the interior? Do they use him on the edge? Lane Kiffin has alluded to the fact that he's going to play. I think he'll wind up playing edge and sort of being maybe that Gabriel Relaford replacement. I think Jordan Ross will start opposite Prince Will Uman-Mielen, but I think Lamar Brown will contribute there on the edge. So just wanted to give you a little update on LSU's spring practice. Again, Lane Kiffin has said that this is a work in progress. They're not ready to play a game, but they don't have to play a game. But make no mistake about it, I think Lane Kiffin has alluded to the fact that this is a work in progress, but he's not writing this off. This is a team that is going to expect to compete for a college football playoff spot and try to win a championship. Um, I believe LSU will be favored in a large number of their games, assuming they stay healthy and do the things that are expected of this roster. And so I don't think that Lane Kiffin is trying to temper the expectations. I think Lane Kiffin has to slow himself down because he wants everybody to pick up his offense so quickly, and he wants this thing to be a finished product. And it's just not going to be a finished product. It's not even going to be a finished product when they tee it up against Clemson. But certainly when they get Sam Levitt back and as they go through summer and fall, this thing will evolve and they'll be ready when we get closer to the kickoff. Still no transfer acquisitions for Will Wade's basketball program. We're monitoring that, and we are monitoring some recent women's basketball transfer portal entries, including Shaquille O'Neal's daughter, Amara O'Neal, who is now in the transfer portal with a do not contact tag. We will see if LSU is involved there. We will be back tomorrow to talk all about it. As always, be good to one another, always boot up, and always, always, always go Tigers.